All right, welcome back. So I probably should have did this video last night, but I wanted to make sure that the first video I did for the Maximo Alvarez speech went over well enough before I like really went all in and started making these kinds of videos. But I seem to have gotten a pretty positive reaction from it, so I'm going to continue to do it. I don't expect to get any kind of following out of it, but I enjoy watching this kind of thing, reflecting on what I see, talking about what I like, talking about what I don't like, um, and just generally getting my opinion out there. As somebody who was a Democrat like his entire adult life, who switched over in 2016 after being completely disenfranchised by the Democratic Party. Um, I feel like I'm misconstrued a lot by my friends, by my family, by lots of people. They don't really understand why I would flip, why I would jump the fence to the dark side as they believe it to be. And so, and what I always say to them is just talk to me, just find out what I actually think. So I think doing this kind of format can help with that. I don't think I'm going to go out of my way to show these videos to too many people, but maybe they'll come across them on their own. But all right, so we have Donald Trump Jr. Donald Trump Jr. is hit or miss for me. I think he gets some really gnarly zingers off on Twitter. That's mostly what he's good for. I think he interviews really well. I think he's a very eloquent interviewer. I think he surprises a lot of people. Um, he really pulls it off from time to time. Now, obviously, he's also a sycophant for his dad, which it's his dad, so it's not exactly beyond the pale that he would do that. But and sometimes he gets into some real like stupid boomer humor, right wing shit that is annoying. And he's got like pretty terrible grammar too. He fucks up a lot. So um it'll be interesting to hear what he said. I'm surprised they put him on the first night. You would think he would be a much later show. But we're gonna do it and we're gonna see how he fares. This is the first I watched it, like I said last night. I realized halfway through the Kimberly Guilfoyle one that I should have been recording myself. There were some good moments. Her delivery, I mean, if there were an audience there, it probably would have been a lot better. But the screaming was a bit much. So without further ado, we're gonna do Trump Jr. Somebody in the comments on my Maximo Alvarez one said they appreciate that I don't pause and talk over them and all that good stuff. So I'm gonna try not to do that. You'll probably see me make faces, and that's natural. If something really egregious happens, if I laugh really hard and I'm not going to be able to hear anything, I might pause it just so I can get it done. But for the most part, I like not pausing it. When I watch someone react to something, I don't really like watching them pause it. I just want to get to I like watching their reaction. I don't necessarily like hearing them, but we'll see what happens. So, like I said, without further ado, let's listen to Donald Trump Jr. and hear what he has to say. I'm sure he's got a lot. It's 4 minutes longer than the other one was. So let's have at it.
Good evening, America. I'm Donald Trump Jr. We're here tonight to talk about the great American story, to talk about this country we all love, this land of promise and opportunity, of heroes and greatness. Just a few short months ago, we were seeing the American dream become a reality for more of our citizens than ever before. The greatest prolonged economic expansion in American history, the lowest unemployment rate in nearly 50 years, the lowest unemployment rates ever for Black Americans, Hispanic Americans, women, and pretty much every other demographic group. And then, courtesy of the Chinese Communist Party, the virus struck. The president quickly took action and shut down travel from China. Joe Biden and his Democrat allies called my father a racist and a xenophobe for doing it. They put political correctness ahead of the safety and security of the American people. Fortunately, As the virus began to spread, the president acted quickly and ensured ventilators got to hospitals that needed them most. He delivered PPE to our brave frontline workers, and he rallied the mighty American private sector to tackle this new challenge. There's more work to do, but there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Job gains are outpacing what the so-called experts expected. But Biden's radical left-wing policies would stop our economic recovery cold. He's already talking about shutting the country down again. It's madness. Democrats claim to be for workers, but they've spent the entire pandemic trying to sneak a tax break for millionaires in Democrat states into the COVID relief bill. Then they attacked my father for suspending the payroll tax for middle-class workers. In fact, if you think about it, Joe Biden's entire economic platform seems designed to crush the working man and woman. He supported the worst trade deals in the history of the planet. He voted for the NAFTA nightmare. Down the tubes went our auto industry. He pushed for TPP. Goodbye, manufacturing jobs. Beijing Biden is so weak on China that the intelligence community recently assessed that the Chinese Communist Party favors Biden. They know he'll weaken us both economically and on a world stage. Biden also wants to bring in more illegal immigrants to take jobs from American citizens. His open border policies would drive wages down for Americans at a time when low-income workers were getting real wage increases for the first time in modern history. He's pledged to repeal the Trump tax cuts, which were the biggest in our country. After 8 years of Obama and Biden's slow growth, Trump's policies have been like rocket fuel to the economy, and especially to the middle class. Biden has promised to take that money back out of your pocket and keep it in the swamp. That makes sense, though, considering Joe Biden is basically the Loch Ness Monster of the swamp. For the past half-century, he's been lurking around in there. He sticks his head up every now and then to run for president. Then he disappears and doesn't do much in between. So if you're looking for hope, look to the man who did what the failed Obama-Biden administration never could do and built the greatest economy our country has ever seen. And President Trump will do it again. We will be stronger than ever because when we put our mind to it, there is no obstacle that America can't surmount. Except there's a difference this time. In the past, both parties believed in the goodness of America. We agreed on where we wanted to go. We just disagreed on how to get there. This time, the other party is attacking the very principles on which our nation was founded. Freedom of thought, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, the rule of law. Thomas Jefferson famously said, "I have sworn upon the altar of God eternal hostility against every form of tyranny over the mind of man." Our founders believed there was nothing more important than protecting our God-given right to think for ourselves. Now, the left, they're trying to cancel all of those founders. They don't seem to understand this important principle. In order to improve in the future, we must learn from our past, not erase it. So we're not going to tear down monuments and forget the people who built our great nation. Instead, we will learn from our past so we don't repeat any mistakes. And we will work tirelessly to improve the lives of all Americans. Joe Biden and the radical left are now coming for our freedom of speech. They want to bully us into submission. If they get their way, it will no longer be the silent majority. It will be the silenced majority. This has to stop. Freedom of expression used to be a liberal value, at least before the radical left took over. Now the Republican Party is the home of free speech, the place where anyone from any background can speak their mind, and may the best ideas win. People of faith are under attack. You're not allowed to go to church, but mass chaos in the streets gets a pass. It's almost like this election is shaping up to be church, work, and school versus rioting, looting, and vandalism. Or, in the words of Biden and the Democrats, peaceful protesting. Anarchists have been flooding our streets, and Democrat mayors are ordering the police to stand down. Small businesses across America, many of them minority-owned, are being torched by mobs. The Democrat mayors pretend it's not happening. They actually called it a summer of love. And that brings me to another important principle. Every American must be free to live without fear of violence in your country, in your communities, and in your homes. All men and women are created equal and must be treated equally under the law. That's why we must put an end to racism, and we must ensure that any police officer who abuses their powers is held accountable. What happened to George Floyd is a disgrace, and if you know a police officer, you know they agree with that too. But we cannot lose sight of the fact that our police are American heroes. They deserve our deepest appreciation. Because no matter what the Democrats say, you and I both know when we dial 911, we don't want it going to voicemail. So defunding the police is not an option. Everything starts with safety and security. You can't have anything else without it. You can't focus on building a better future for your children without the peace of mind that they can study safely in their classrooms, play safely in their neighborhoods, and sleep safely in their beds. But safety is only the beginning. Trump's America is a land of opportunity, a place of promise. I was fortunate enough to grow up in a family that could afford the best schools and the finest universities. But a great education cannot be the exclusive right of the rich and powerful. It must be accessible to all. And that's why my dad is pro-school choice. That's why he's called education access the civil rights issue, not just of our time, but of all time. It is unacceptable that too many African American and Hispanic American children are stuck in bad schools just because of their zip code. Donald Trump will not stand for it. If Democrats really wanted to help minorities and underserved communities, instead of bowing to big money union bosses, they'd let parents choose what school is best for their kids. They'd limit immigration to protect American workers. They'd support the police who protect our neighborhoods. They'd learn how to negotiate trade deals that prioritize America's interests for a change. They'd end the endless wars and quit sending our young people to solve problems in foreign lands. They'd cut taxes for families and workers. They'd create opportunity zones that drive investment into inner cities. In other words, if Democrats cared for the forgotten men and women of our country, they'd do exactly what President Trump is doing. America is the greatest country on earth, but my father's entire worldview revolves around the idea that we can always do even better. Imagine the life you want to have, one with a great job, a beautiful home, a perfect family. You can have it. Imagine the country you want to live in, one with true equal opportunity, where hard work pays off and justice is served with compassion and without partiality. You can have it. Imagine a world where the evils of communism and radical Islamic terrorism are not given a chance to spread, where heroes are celebrated and the good guys win. You can have it. That is the life. That is the country. That is the world that Donald Trump and the Republican Party are after. And yes, you can have it. Because unlike Joe Biden and the radical left Democrats, our party is open to everyone. It starts by rejecting radicals who want to drag us into the dark and embracing the man who represents a bright and beautiful future for all. It starts by re-electing Donald J. Trump, President of the United States. Thank you, and God bless America.
All right. So I'm gonna say meh. That was pretty meh. Now, there are a couple reasons for that. First and foremost, Donald Trump Jr. is not his dad. And a lot of his mannerisms, as he speaks, he definitely looks like he's getting them from his dad. You can see that he is very happy to be the son of his father. He's very proud of his dad. I mean, there's no denying But as I said before I even started, like, he says funny shit on Twitter, and I really think he interviews well. I think people try to grill him, and they can't. He does a pretty good job of wiggling out of shit. He is not a fantastic speaker. That was not an example of an amazing speech by any stretch of the imagination. And by the way, I didn't review this video because anyone said it was good. I saw that he did it, and I was like, this might be worth doing. So the mannerisms, yeah. I think he needs to drop the beard, and this is coming from a bearded guy. I got a beard. I don't think he should have one. Especially, it looks like he's. If I had to guess, this guy's trying to get into politics, and I could see it coming soon. But I hear people talk about that all the time. If you go on like the Donald, um, they'll make jokes about Donald Trump Jr. running for president, and in 2024, and Ivanka being president, and all these jokes and stuff like that. But I don't think I don't think he's cut out for it, especially not in like the Trumpian vein. I don't think anybody could ever be a Donald Trump again, and I really think that when Trump is gone, they'll go back to being these like statesman like plastic, generic politicians. I don't think anybody can do politics the way that Donald Trump does, and not even his son. And Donald Trump Jr.'s biggest flaw in even thinking he can be a politician is that, I mean, it would be purely nepotism. Like, he is not known for anything other than being his father's son, and that's just the reality. And it's nobody asks for who creates them or anything like that. So I'm not saying, well, he can never be great because his dad is the one with all the power and all the gusto that made people vote for him in the first place. And I'm not saying that he, deserves nothing ever because he was born to a rich family. I just don't think I don't think he has the political chops as of right now. I don't think he has them, and I don't think he has any kind of real record that says, well, this is the guy I should vote for, other than that it's his dad. Now, I haven't been around that long, so maybe that's been the case forever. There have been a lot of Kennedys in and out of office, and one of them let a woman die in a car in a river and somehow was adored. So yeah, I don't think Donald Trump Jr. is a great politician. I hope he doesn't. Honestly, I hope he doesn't run. I hope 2024 is like a Rand Paul. And I got my own issues with Rand Paul. I don't know who the Republicans are going to run in 2024. It's going to be interesting. So, on the substance of the speech itself, the line about the silent majority turning into the silenced majority is a great line. I think it's a great line. His delivery was, it just didn't give you anything, and you kind of saw it coming. I knew he was going to say something to the effect of that they're not talking. They went from the silent majority to they don't talk. I knew that's what he was going to get at. Delivery, it wasn't there. He makes a really good point. I bring this point up all the time. It was later in the speech. It was probably near the end that the Republican Party of the year 2020 is a big tent. We really are the liberal party now. And I'll tell anybody that I'm a Republican. I'm a registered Republican, but I don't tell anybody that I'm conservative because I'm not conservative. I'm moderate. I'm moderate on everything, for the most part. I mean, I have strong views on illegal immigration, but my views on illegal immigration are like the Democratic Party of 15 years ago. So I don't know. So the Republican Party has shifted into the come on in, we'll take you kind of party. And maybe it's because they needed to. I think the neocons did a lot of damage to their image. I think people are still afraid to call themselves Republicans because of what the neocons did. And I think most Democrats, total lefties, they still think that the Republican Party is the neocon party, or they think it's the party of of Trumpism in the worst possible way that Trumpism could be, like the exact way that he would be described by CNN or MSNBC, and that just isn't the case. The Republican Party of 2020 is the party of disaffected Democrats, working class people who feel like they don't have a home anymore, and you got to pick something. Um, I was happy to call myself a libertarian for after I left the Democratic Party in 2017, right after inauguration. Actually left it, changed registration for independent. Um, I was happy to call myself a libertarian, and then I started like watching what the Libertarian official party Twitter account says, and they're just Democrats. They're Democrats, and like they love illegal immigration. They are like totally for it. They're 100% open borders, and I didn't know that about them. And I thought libertarians were like Republican light who like pot. That's what I thought the libertarians were, but they're actually just social justice Democrats who like pot and like the free market, or so they say. But they're I don't know. I feel the same way about the Libertarian Party that I feel about the ACLU. The ACLU, you know, the ACLU was famous for like defending the worst of the worst. They were like, we're the free speech people. But now you see the ACLU's Twitter account, and it's like all just far left garbage. It is total garbage. There is nobody left to talk about middle class issues, and except the Republican Party. So the Republican Party has like backed off of like super staunch anti-abortion measures. I'm pretty moderate on abortion. I think I have my limits, and that could be another video. They're not the Bible thumper party. They're more likely to thump a Bible, but I don't call them the Bible thumper party. They're definitely not the party of war anymore. My God, every time Trump tries to pull troops out of Afghanistan or Iraq, like who's there to stop him? But well, old Republicans, the GOP as it were, but the Democrats. I mean, Obama ran on ending the foreign wars. He didn't do it, and he gets a pass. He ran on closing Gitmo, and he didn't do it, and he gets a pass. And then Trump comes along. He's like, I'm going to get us out of Iraq. No, you can't do that. It's a strategic alliance. We got to be there. Oh, I'm trying to get us out of Afghanistan. You can't do that. We need to be there. 18, 19 years, whatever. Make it 23 for all I care. That's how the Democrat, and that's really the kind of thing that proves to you that it's a uniparty. And I think that the Democrats and the Republicans alike are horrified of the new people joining the Republican Party, because we're very populistic, and we want the corrupt, the rot to leave. We want everybody who is a corrupt scumbag who gets into politics for the money and the power and not to help people, which I guess is virtually everyone, almost. We want them out. We want term limits. And they're terrified of that. They don't want like normal people getting into politics and ruining the gravy train for them, pulling the gravy train off the rails. But so back to Donald Trump Jr. I've gone off on a rant here. He makes a very solid case for the fact that the Republican Party is now it's basically the liberal party, and that will make a lot of old Republicans mad. They have a voice. They need conservative voices. They truly are anti-abortion. They truly think that we need to get back to Christian religious values. And there are some things about Christian religious values as a non-practicing non-religious person. I totally think that Christian values, they've been thrown under the bus, and they've done so much. I mean, the basis of our system of government, or our justice system, is based on like the 10 Commandments. So I understand like actual true conservatives not wanting all these disaffected liberals joining their party. But I got to tell you, I mean, I agree with him on that. He had to throw in a couple digs about the radical left socialists, and Biden isn't that, and Biden doesn't know what he is. he is just the face, the moderate face of the Democratic Party, and they need someone to run against Trump. I just think that they needed someone that could lose gracefully, and not make them look terrible when they lost. Now that all changed when the coronavirus hit. Now, I mean, for a while there, it very, and then the George Floyd protests. I mean, it really looked like Trump was about to get stomped, and that's kind of petered out now. Um, that's another thing I wanted to say about the Trump Jr. speech is that I'm glad that he didn't stick to coronavirus much. I'm glad that he didn't touch the economy much, which is sad because that was Trump's feather in his cap for a long time. Like there was so much that the Democrats would throw at him, and it was just like, I built the greatest economy in the world. You ain't touching me. And that isn't the case anymore. Now, what he is going to be able to say, I think, by election day is he'll be like, not only did I rebuild the greatest economy in the world when I got into office, I rebuilt it twice. And I think he's going to have that, but he doesn't have that now. Like, you can't talk about all these great gains, except maybe in certain stock markets, um, and do it with a straight face. Now, you could say lots about the stock market. I'm a middle class guy. I have a retirement account. It's in the market. It does great when it's in the market. I'm not a rich, I'm not a fat cat. I'm not smoking a cigar and twirling my mustache here. So I benefit from a good market. I benefit from low prices and a good economy and all that stuff. So I'm glad that he didn't stick to the economy. I'm glad that he didn't try to like paint coronavirus as a big success, because as far as messaging goes, the Democrats have Trump in a corner as far as the coronavirus goes. And you can say the initial estimates were like 2 million people are going to die, and it's less than 200,000, so that you could call that a success. But Trump knew no matter what, he was screwed. And if he wanted to take the Sweden route and try to go for herd immunity, I mean, they were going to cast every death as his fault no matter what. And there would have been a lot more deaths, I think, from the virus itself if we hadn't did the lockdowns. So it was damned if you do, damned if you don't. But I completely blame China. I also blame the World Health Organization. I really do believe that they lied on behalf of China. I mean, to a criminal extent. I honestly, I think what China did, I mean, knowingly lied, knowingly covered it up, knowingly allowed people to travel from Wuhan to anywhere else in the world, but not anywhere else in China. That's criminal. I mean, they're really the worst. And I think the more Trump attacks China, the better it is for him. I think Americans are really starting to recognize that they are not our friend. And I think that if one thing, one super positive thing about the coronavirus is that it proved Donald Trump's point entirely about globalization and having our supply chains not in our country. I mean, it was a terrifying moment. It was like all of our therapeutics are made overseas. They're all made in China of all places, not just overseas, like China. The PPE was made in China. So if there is one major thing that America should have gotten out of the coronavirus in a positive way, was realizing that Donald Trump was right about bringing back manufacturing. And I think he really needs to seize on that. The Democrats have the news media in their corner at all times. So they're going to go all in on the coronavirus. They're going to talk about how much of a failure it was. I think all of America is to blame for the high numbers that we had. We're very freedom-minded people. None of us want to be told what to do. I think Trump made mistakes. In fact, I think one of the biggest mistakes Trump made was shutting down the economy. To be honest with you, looking back at it, I think that was probably the dumbest thing he could do. But I blame Dr. Fauci and Birx. They had problems. Fauci flip-flopped all the time. I mean, everybody shares some blame. Everybody. It's not just Donald Trump. But I think China and the World Health Organization, like, tag team screwed the world, and that should not be overlooked. So I hope that when the debates come and they try to nail Trump with this, like, you really screwed the pooch on the coronavirus. I mean, he's just got to go all out and say, Xi Jinping basically declared biological war on our country. Like he should, I mean, he should hit that rhetoric hard because it's true. And if ever there was a country that deserves like a strong look at like the relationship that we have, and I don't just mean on trade at this point. I mean, once you see that they did that, it's a whole other ballgame. So he needs to go hard on China. Um, so that's that part of that rant. Anyway, this is getting long. Let me just say, Donald Trump Jr.'s speech was is okay. He's not fantastic as a speaker. His hand gestures are just his dad's. He looks a lot like his dad. He needs to get rid of the beard. Period. I think Ted Cruz pulls off the beard okay. Donald Trump Jr. does not. Get rid of that thing, buddy. I hope you watch this video, and I hope you get rid of the beard. And I guess that's a good place to stop it right there. Donald Trump Jr. Okay speech. You got a couple in there. Lose the beard, and we'll see you on Twitter because there you're actually pretty funny a lot of the time. So that's it. Catch you next time. We'll see what they're doing tonight. I'm not sure who's speaking. I think Melania is speaking tonight. Maybe I'll do that one. That might be funny. We'll see. But thanks for watching. Part 2 of my RNC speech review reaction videos. Thank you very much. Have a good one. See ya.